Do I really want to put myself through this? Do I want to bring the pain and the trust that I've given this company so many times only for them to let me down time and time again? Do I want to do it? Do I want to talk about TNA? No, I don't, because we're not talking about TNA today. We are talking about GFW, Global Force Wrestling, because TNA is no more, and it now falls under the name and the brand of GFW, and it's backed by Jeff Jarrett and Karen Jarrett. They head up the promotion, and we have Anthem behind it. Now, the reason why I do want to talk about GFW today was because they held their Slammiversary 2017 pay-per-view on Sunday, and I caught it for free on Spike UK. I think that surprised quite a lot of Americans. I think you guys had to actually pay for it, but we got it for free over here, so sorry about that. But we did, and I wanted to treat this pay-per-view as starting fresh, a new beginning for the brand formerly known as TNA. I wanted to look at this pay-per-view as a standalone and something to take the company forward. If they failed tonight, I was quite happy to walk away and say, I gave you one more shot and you didn't succeed. That's how I felt, because I have been very disconnected with this company since it changed hands. I've felt that way for quite a long time, and I did know that they were going to merge the belts at this pay-per-view. I didn't know at the time that they were going to go under the banner of Global Force Wrestling. So how they do that in terms of will they actually rebrand all belts now is yet to be seen. But they do have the belts in terms of a TNA championship and a GFW championship sitting with the same champion. So they could easily just switch up and do away with all Impact championships and retain the GFW ones. That would mean they only have to rebrand, for example, the Grand Championship and the X Division, as opposed to doing every single one. So I think, I think for me, this was a make or break, and that's how I wanted to treat it. And I'm going to give you my honest views and opinions of this, what I felt about GFW, and if I feel I can stick with this brand, and if there really is a future with Jeff Jarrett being back. So, let's talk about one thing that had me very, very excited from the offset. The return to commentary of Don West. I have been calling for this for months, maybe even years, to get back Don West with his insane daily deals. And I had seen that he was doing promotional work for the old school TNA and now GFW. But to have him back on commentary, oh boy, that felt so good. He's such a great hype man, and in an age where we don't really have that many great commentators in professional wrestling, I feel that we've got Mauro Ranallo, who is a perfect hype guy, but other than that, not really many others. And I think Don West does the job very well indeed. He was partnered with someone who I've never heard of, don't know his name. As I said, I'm kind of doing this brand new, but this team had great chemistry. You had the straight guy who calls all the moves, and you had Don West who makes it exciting. And also a benefit of having Don was he knew all the history as well, so he could give the background of wrestlers. Good. Only concern is that they won't stick with this, because Josh Matthews was in a match against Jeremy Borash. That's the original commentary team. I know that, and I really don't want to see that come back. I like Jeremy Borash. Josh Matthews can be irritating at times. But because this works so well, definitely don't change it. I even tweeted that at Dutch Mantel. I said, Don West was legit on commentary, and I got a favourite. So, you know, maybe he's giving me the nod and saying he's staying. But only time will tell. I would not change that if I was smart, because that worked. Now, let's actually talk about the show overall. First and foremost, production value. Something that they really lack, because the positive of having a cool commentary team and a commentary team that worked, and then you had this production value which was poor. It's always been poor with Impact. They never invested enough to make pay-per-views feel special. But I wasn't looking at the history. I was looking at this as a fresh start. And what better way to make me feel like this is new is by making this pay-per-view feel special. And they didn't do it. They failed to do that, because they did have the Slammiversary branding on the ring apron, but the ropes were blue. The barricades had Impact all over them. It just felt, again, a bit half-assed, and it felt like a standard Impact show. Slammiversary, rebrand, big deal, title mergers under Anthem should feel bigger than that. And that's all I've got to say. I'm not gonna bash the production too much, but I know that GFW can do it right in terms of graphics. I've seen it. I've seen on their social media. I've seen the AMP shows. They had some good actual graphics there. Even transitions weren't on this. Whether or not it was because Spike UK had cut the show so much, I don't know. Give me your view if you're in America. Did it feel the same for you? I just didn't like it. So we had a positive with the commentary team and a negative with the production. Now let's talk about the actual overall show in terms of wrestling. The pre-show, not good. If I was going to this and this was the first show that I got to see, or the first match that I got to see, seeing Laurel Van Ness dressed as some crazy bride, and then you had this Congo Kong and KM. KM just looks like a generic superstar from WWE 2K17. He's got nothing. But then they were facing Ali, Braxton Sutter, and Shearer. Let's just call him that. But this was not a good pre-show match. I didn't even know it was the pre-show until a clock kept popping up on my screen. Again, production. This clock kept flashing up and disappearing. Probably to do with Spike editing this show. But didn't like it at all. It wasn't something that got me excited. But when the show actually started and we got the first match, which was a tag team, and it was a 4-way Lucha Rules unification match. That's a mouthful. For the Impact Wrestling Tag Team Championship and the GFW Tag Team Championship, featuring LAX and a whole array of new talent which I have not seen before. Again, I'm going to lack on saying the names because I can't pronounce half of them. But I tell you what, it felt like these guys, Jeff had just said to them, go out there and give it your all. I don't care if you make a few mistakes here or there, just make it look epic. Get this crowd here in the Impact Zone excited. And that's exactly what they did. It was good. It was really good. Yes, there were mistakes, but when you take high risks, you make them. Big deal. I'd rather see someone give it their all than give it nothing at all. And this got that crowd excited. For as big as that crowd was, they were loving this. And I did too. I thought it was fantastic. It wasn't like a 5-star match, but it had some tremendous spots. And I would say this, if that was an NXT match and they had that style match, everyone would have been talking about it, because it was at a GFW show. Not many people giving it the praise that it deserves. It was good. So that set me up for the evening. I felt if they'd just not done the pre-show and stuck with this, much better. Some other standout moments from the night, well, clearly there's been some sort of plan here to get an NFL star over. I think he is that. Not in touch really with it, but D'Angelo Williams, who teamed with Moose to face Eli Drake and Chris Adonis. Oh boy, what a surprise. For me as a fan who isn't always keen when they bring in celebrities as such, this guy actually felt like he loves professional wrestling, and he weren't there just for a payday. He felt like he trained hard, worked hard, and he was pulling off some really good moves. If you'd seen him and you didn't know who he was, you'd have just thought he was a wrestler on the roster, and a pretty good one at that. They could do some really good stuff with him, and I hear that he's potentially a free agent. Could that mean that he's going to get a contract with GFW? Maybe, but if they do, I think there's some good times ahead for someone like him, and I think that GFW should exploit that. He is interesting. Ethan Carter, James Storm, that to me, two of the old school, two of the guys that I think should be taking the company forward, two of the big guns, in my view. I think EC3 particularly. James Storm, I like him. I think he should have stayed in NXT, but that's another video. It was a strap match. I don't think you get much value out of a strap match, but it did serve a purpose because it did make Ethan Carter look even more of a heel than he already is. So I like heel Ethan Carter. The way he won that match was in a cowardly and pretty much a heel manner. Good stuff. Good stuff. Match, not amazing, but it was good. Then I have to talk about this. Jeremy Borash, Joseph Parks, Josh Matthews, and Big Papa Pump, Scott Steiner. No disqualification match. And felt like it had a hint of the Broken Brilliance in it there. They kind of went for that movie style. It was a bit cheesy, but it was fun. It was fun. It was like I described this pay-per-view overall as a bit of a roller coaster ride. It had some highs and some lows, and it was fun overall. And I really feel that this match made it good, because what I enjoyed about this was not only did they tap into the history of Impact, which was nice because this is Slammiversary. They had Shark Boy there. That was cool. That was a nice little cameo from him. But it was different. It was fun. And they played on the elements of the characters. They used Scott Steiner with his fat asses constantly. Joseph Park being a coward. And then they went for the jugular. This was so good. This was something that, to me, is something that's always been needed with the character Abyss. Bringing back Father James Mitchell. Yes. Love it. They brought him back, and if they want to go forward with this, they have to do this. They have to let Father James Mitchell take Abyss back to his original days, to his old school days, like when he first started. And they really need to tap into that, because you could make Abyss a proper monster again under the tutelage of Father James Mitchell. And him making that appearance, I've even made a video on this, made me think, go for it, do it. It was cool, it was good, it was fun, this, and I liked it. I just don't want Josh Matthews and Jeremy Borash heading back to the commentary team anytime soon. So I kind of wish that they'd done a bit more damage to Josh. Moving on, not going to talk too much about all the matches. That's not what this video was about. It just was to give an overview of what I felt about this as a show. But Eddie Edwards, Davey Richards, and their other halves going at it in a Full Metal Mayhem match. Good match. Epic ending, great spot, table spot. Would say though, we saw thumbtacks in the Borash Matthews match. Don't want to see it twice in such quick time, and they did that in a Full Metal Mayhem match. Stipulation wise, and where it was on the card, I would have probably moved it. It didn't feel like the right time or the right place for that match to be there. So yeah, that didn't really work in terms of structure of a pay-per-view. Sonjay Dutt versus Low-Ki, 2 out of 3 falls match for the X Division Championship. build the company around these two, and we could get an X Division that we've wanted for a long time. Do it. That's all I'm going to say on that. These two put on great matches, get some other high flyers, get some guys from the outside, get them in there, get them in the mix. X Division could come back. Sienna versus Rosemary for a unification of GFW Women's Championship and Impact Championship or Knockouts Championship. Probably the weakest match on the card. Didn't understand why KM, who's apparently Sienna's cousin, comes out with the crazy woman in the dress, Laura Van Ness, whatever her name is, but she's just weird. And I just didn't really like this match as a whole. I don't really feel that Impact or GFW really has a strong women's division. This is a company that used to have an incredible knockouts division. Now they need to find someone to knock out the knockouts. And yeah, they ain't got it at the moment. I don't think Sienna is the one. I like her. I actually was a big fan of her, but this match just didn't work for me. So I'm hoping that that's an area they're going to move and improve. And finally, we have Alberto Alphatron versus Lashley. Now, they had King Mo at ringside. They also had Alberto Alphatron's family with him as well. And it felt like a big fight feel. They did that well. That was good. They had entourages in the ring. Jeff Jarrett was there as well to take the belts. Felt like, you know, he is in charge. He takes the belts. Big deal. Had a big announce at the beginning. Good. Made me feel like it was a proper main event. That's nice. I like that. And obviously the belts were going to be unified because Lashley had the Impact Championship. Patron had the GFW one. The merger was coming. So all good. Match solid. One thing I'd say, and this is just me, this is personal, I wouldn't put all my faith in Alberto Alphatron as a face. As a heel, definitely. As a face, I don't really think he's a guy that you can cheer constantly. I've even met him and I wouldn't really cheer for him. I think he's a great heel. So I don't really like his entrance music as well. I feel it's weak. So they kind of need to do a bit more with his character. But the match itself was solid. I love Lashley. I've seen Lashley. I think he's a top competitor. But maybe he's held those belts for too long. So it kind of made sense that they've decided to go with Alberto Alphatron as their new face of their company. He did make some remarks after the event. And all I'll say on that is that possibly that version of Alberto Alphatron that made those comments after the show went off air is the version that GFW should go for. A more honest, he might not say those things, but a more honest version of him, because the crowd were booing him. I've seen YouTube videos of it. When he's trying to just be a straight up babyface, it doesn't work. The crowd aren't into it. I'm not into it. But when he's actually speaking from the heart and being honest, I actually think you could get behind him, because then he's almost like the anti-babyface that you cheer. So they could do some good stuff with him taking the company forward as well. For Lashley, maybe find him a big feud, but I think he might need to take that step away from the championship, albeit that if I had booked this match and I was building my company, Lashley would be my guy, and probably EC3 as well. So overall, I was surprised and mostly happy, and I definitely feel that I will keep up with GFW at the moment to see how they get on. I thought it was a good start, but there's a lot of work to be done on the production, and it'll be interesting to see what they do with the belts. Will they create new championships, or will they just keep the GFW ones? Let me know what you thought. This has been me starting fresh with TNA, the now known GFW, and giving you my views and opinions on it. A lot to talk about and a lot to cram in for a 20-minute video, but I think I've done the job. So get involved by the comment section below. Let me know what you think of Slammiversary 2017. And are you going to be watching GFW going forward? All that's left to be said is please rate, comment, and subscribe. This is Delzinski signing out.